Welcome back to another edition of On the Town with Suz and Doug. You see, it's both wave. Suz has patented this wave. Nobody else can use
Yeah.
this.
Here we go.
So,
My
people
royal.
waving, it belongs to On the Town with Suz and Doug. They've
Yeah.
stolen it. But we're going to do another one of our entertainment themed shows tonight. This is another TV show that we both watched growing up. This kind of goes way back to when we both were tiny, really young. But I'll let you tell the folks what it is.
This show is called Family Affair. Family Affair. So
This was back, I remember watching this originally as a kid. I think it came on in 1968. So I was, what was I, 6?
I
7?
was born in
You don't have to
6.
tell if you don't want, but I mean, I was
Yeah.
brilliant, and you were even younger.
I was younger and
Do you remember watching it originally?
I remember when I lived in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, sitting on the carpet by the TV in the den. And it was even before I went to school. I might have been in nursery
Yeah, for you it
school.
would have been.
Yeah, like
I
nursery
remember,
school.
it must have been early in the evening because at that age, we had to go
Yeah.
to bed early. I hated that.
And it was
It
really
was on I believe it was on a school night. I'm not sure what night it was on. It might have been on during the week.
Family Affair. It was really good.
I don't remember being a Friday night show because I remember the Friday night lineups, but we
Yeah.
used to watch it. It was on like 5 seasons, I think, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And people that haven't never heard of it, it really was a show, like they said Seinfeld was about nothing. This show was about nothing.
Yeah. It was kind
I'll
of
let you describe it and then I'll come in later.
I think from what I remember, well, they lived in a really nice apartment.
Yeah.
And it looked like
Well, first tell them who was in it.
it was
Uncle
Brian,
Bill. Yeah.
Uncle Bill, and
Brian
that was
Keith.
Brian Keith. I always thought him as the blonde guy.
Yeah.
Blonde man. And then there was the English butler, Mr. French. And then there was a
Sebastian Cabot was his name. I remember him.
and he was always like kind of like annoyed looking.
A little annoyed. Well, once those kids showed up, he didn't like that.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
He was like Mr. Uncle Bill's, like, they called him, I guess, a gentleman or something. He was kind of helped out because he was a bachelor. Uncle Bill. He didn't have any kids.
Oh my gosh. And then the two, it was a little boy. He looked like he was like a redheaded.
They're supposed to be twins.
Okay, with freckles.
Boy and girl twins.
And then the girl
Jody
had light hair too. Was it Buffy and
Buffy? Yeah, they're supposed to be twins. They were not related in real life, but they were supposed to be boy and girl twins. Yeah.
And there was a doll, Mrs. Beasley.
Mrs. Beasley. We'll get to that. Yeah. But there's also an older sister too. Sissy.
Yeah. There was a older sister too, and I just remember it was really fun. I remember like with
it's kind of the premise of it is kind of sad because their parents die in a car. It's Uncle Bill's brother's family or sister's. I think it was his brother's family, and both the parents die like in a car accident.
That's really bad.
And then these kids show up at his apartment one day because there's no other family and he's got to take care of it. But I thought that was kind of a tragic way to start a comedy show.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was like
3 kids lost their parents and he's got to now take care of them.
Yeah, there was like an older girl and then 2.
She was like a young teenager, I guess, at the time.
Yeah. And then 2 younger ones. And he's like, oh my goodness.
So they just show up. And he wasn't expecting. He's like I guess he's kind of a wealthy guy, right? Did he?
Yeah.
I forget what he did. Was he like a businessman, or was he I forget what he did for a living.
He was like
he traveled a lot.
I think he had his own company, or he was a business.
He's wealthy. He had that really great New York apartment.
Yeah.
It took place in New York City.
He was a little wealthier than the brother who had. He was like a wealthy that had a butler.
He had his own butler. Why would he need a butler if you're just one guy? Butler just did his laundry and cooked for him, so he had money.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, in an apartment, he had an English butler.
Great apartment. It was a cool apartment he had.
And I think Mr. French why am I think he cleaned
He,
too.
he
Like
lived. I think he lived there, didn't he? Had his
I think
own
he
room.
cooked. Yeah, I saw him sometimes with an apron on, so I think he actually cleaned and cooked there. Like took care of the apartment,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he lived there. I think Mr.
lived there.
French.
So yeah, but Uncle Bill had a few bucks.
Yeah, he
I think
lived
he
there.
was like a businessman, traveled around the world, whatever business it was. So he did
And
really
then
well,
changed a little
and he
bit.
enjoyed the ladies.
Yeah, and then it got a little different.
And then the
Uh,
kids come, and that kind of puts a cramp in his lifestyle all of a sudden.
lifestyle.
That was the whole premise. He had
Yeah,
a guy that never had any kids had to now take care of three kids. Yeah.
it was interesting how that. Yeah, it was it was a really cute. And I remember with Buffy, the little girl who they had these Mrs. Beasley.
Mrs. Beasley
doll-
was her doll, and that thing was
I
huge. I remember when I was a kid. You could
yeah,
buy
I
the store
never.
had them. Yeah.
Yeah, I never had one, but
It's like a middle-aged woman that wore glasses. That was the character, right? I guess she was like
yeah,
a
and she had
grandma
like
type.
blonde hair and a
Uh,
blue dress on and glasses, and kids.
and Buffy would talk to Mrs. Beasley and listen to her. Say, Mrs. Beasley
Yes,
told me to do this. Buffy
it
had some problems.
was a little bit. Oh hi.
A little
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, it was a little different.
I
Yeah,
remember thinking that then. I said, she's talking to this doll, and
it
the
was a little
doll's
spooky.
giving
Yeah,
her things to say, or
it was
listening to
like
the doll.
yeah, that was a little bit different.
I thought that was
Yeah,
strange. And then
yeah.
Jody and her, they were always, a lot of the plots were like Jody loses his favorite toy, and that was the whole plot.
That was the plot. Yeah, and
Or
like
Mrs.
Mr.
Beasley
French
gets
was like,
lost. They can't find Mrs. Beasley.
oh
So that was
goodness.
a real panic.
Yes, and Mr. French was like, "Oh no, what are we doing?" And it was, yeah,
He
he was
wasn't mean to
annoyed.
the kids, but you could tell he was kind of annoyed that they were around.
Yeah, it's like it was almost like a love. I don't want to say a hate, but yeah, it was a
Yeah, well,
love.
he didn't expect to have to take care of kids because now he had to cook for the whole family, yeah, and
Yeah,
clean
he
up
had
after.
thing to
Yeah,
do, and I guess with those kids, I guess the apartment was big enough to have
it was a big apartment. Remember, it looked.
three
I mean, the
kids.
set. It looked like they all had their own room. I mean, they had a nice big apartment. Yeah.
Wow. So he had in New York, he had this apartment and then the kids all living there and it was he was
I just
like
remember not much happened. Like every week it was like somebody loses a toy
or
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 somebody stubs their
somebody makes
scrapes
fun
their
of
knee or something. I mean, it was a show about nothing.
it was kind of like a Brady Bunch plot.
Kind of an early Brady Bunch. Yep, yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit.
kind of like
Not much
uh
happened. Yeah.
yeah, it
And
was
sometimes the older daughter, some guy would want to, go out with her, and that was a big plot. Uncle Bill had to make sure he was not a jerk
not
or something.
not a serial killer. It was like or something like that. And Mr. French saying, "I hope he's a gentleman,"
That's
and and the
And then
brother,
also, like, Uncle Bill wanted to have a woman over for dinner or something, and then the kids would interrupt it
yeah,
and ruin
and then the
dinner.
one would be like, "I didn't know you had all these kids," and yeah, and it was like, oh, well, and before,
All very, family friendly for the time. There was nothing untoward, but he'd have a date over, and then
yeah,
kind of
kids,
interrupted his style.
uh, yes, his being a bachelor, and it was,
Yeah,
yes, that
but he had
so
to be home. I mean,
yeah,
he had
and
to
he
take care of.
actually it was like his transition from a carefree
Yeah,
bachelor into a man that now had three
three
kids
kids. Yeah,
living with him, and but trying to work with and he liked the butler. I think the butler at times said, "I'm going to leave here," and he's like, "No, we need," and so he was like trying to be nice to the butler to
yeah. 'Cause
Mr.
I think Mr. French lived there, so he couldn't go home at night, right? So,
Yeah,
but
so he lived there and he
he
sometimes
wanted to
would,
find excuses to get out of that apartment.
yeah, and it was like, or the kids would be playing music at night or something where it wasn't noisy before, and he's like, "I can't sleep here.
That's right.
I I'm gonna go down. I can't go to the pub or whatever. It was like
Yeah,
yeah.
Mr. French would like to go take a walk in the park. Remember, he'd put on his
Yeah,
hat and go walk in the park, and
going to go. And he always had a little
the
bowl.
bowler hat. Yeah, and he'd meet his other butler friends in the park. Remember that?
It was so funny. Yeah, Mr. Front, the
He'd
English.
be
And so,
complaining to them about what he had to deal with.
oh my gosh, that was so funny. I just was loving it. I thought it was
It
really
was
cute.
cute, for the
My
time. But I just
mom,
remember when I was watching, I said nothing really is happening here.
no,
But we
it
watched
was
it.
like it was kind of like the plots were very family
But yeah, it was a
yeah
show for kids. Yeah,
for kids. Yeah, it was like and I think it was a show my mom found on TV, and then since
yeah.
she liked it, I
And
started.
yeah, my parents, because we had one TV, so my
Yeah,
parents would have it on, and I guess that's how I got to watch it.
it
But
was like a kid, yeah, for kids, and
yeah,
it's amazing the people
and it was
who are.
on a long time. I mean, at least 4 years, maybe 5 seasons.
It was good.
It's amazing they came up
I
with enough story ideas.
it
They're
would
all the same, but
yeah, it would be like I was trying to remember the I know the little girl was Buffy
Buffy, right? And
and
Jody,
and Jody, and then the older girl
she was Sissy.
Sissy.
I don't know
Okay,
if that was short for anything, but they called her Sissy. Yeah.
Sissy. Yeah, it was cute. And
Uh,
Jody and Buffy, it was really cute. And and the kids would run around the apartment sometimes, and then or
for
they'd
some
want
reason, all the kids stayed the same age the whole way through. Like they didn't seem to grow older.
older. No,
But eventually they were going to, they had to end the show. But
and the
yeah.
show, yeah. I think it went through to like the
Like
1970s.
73, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It
But
actually.
then the sad part is that poor Buffy, the actress, I think her name was Anissa Jones, she died at 18 years old. Sad life. After that show ended, apparently she had not great parents and she got involved with drugs right away. And I remember hearing about, I think she, like whatever grade I was in, high school or something, that everyone was talking about Buffy died. It was
Oh
sad.
wow. Oh
But a
my.
drug overdose. Yeah, sad.
That's so
I think she was
sad.
living on her own, like, at 16 or something, and got involved with drugs and wrong
Uh,
people. And then, yeah, sad story.
I wonder what happened to the other two kids that were on the board.
Sissy, I think, did, she acted a little bit more. She did okay. I don't think she had any drug issues. And Jody, I saw in interviews, he said he had a little problems for a while, but he cleaned his act up, you
Yeah.
know.
It
He seemed
seems
to
like
start up. You'd see him on other shows after that once in a while. Kind of like
yeah,
Eddie on the Monsters. He'd pop up on other shows when he was still like a kid actor.
a kid
But,
actor, yeah. And
but
just
he said he had some booze and drug problems, but he cleaned his act up.
uh
But
it's
yeah,
sad.
Buffy didn't.
Yeah, it's sad when it is. It's sad when kids they it seems like with child stars at times they said that other kid Macaulay
Macaulay
Culkin.
Culkin, yeah, he had a rough time there. Yeah,
What's his
because
name? Was
problem
this
is, I think with her family too, she was making the money for her family. So her parents didn't exactly, that's not right. And Macaulay Culkin, wasn't he like the breadwinner for his family? Like they expected him to. So that's not good. Your kid can't be making the money for your family. That should be
no,
his money, and that's it.
that's
For
it.
later.
I don't know. And he just when he got older, it just his career just
Did he do
died.
anything other than that Home
Home.
Alone? I mean, did he ever do any other things as a kid? I think that was it, right?
He had like oh, you know what?
There were two of
There
them,
were,
right? Two Home Alone movies.
and then there was this creepy movie, The Good Son, where he's like this bad kid or something.
When he grew up, he played some kind of horror
I don't
kind of movie, right?
that kind of
But as
stuff.
a kid, though, that was it, right? The two Home Alones, and then he kind of disappeared. And
Yeah.
I don't know if he had any drug or booze problems, but he kind of like disappeared.
It's really sad with these kids that get
I think
into
I think his parents like stole his money, right? Isn't that what happened with him? The
yeah.
money issue, the family stole
And
the
he
money.
really looked bad. I don't
Yeah.
know what he didn't
I
even he
think
was a
that's what happened to Buffy too. Her family, didn't treat her very good. So
oh, she was
yeah.
so cute.
That made that show difficult in syndication after that? Because you see this show and the little kid died. It never really did well in reruns.
Oh,
You know?
it's a shame. Yeah, I wonder if you can even watch that
For a
show.
while, it was on like one of the Roku channels. I
Okay.
think I watched one or two just to see, remind myself what it was
Yeah.
about. I said, yeah, it's the same. I remember
Oh,
nothing happens.
fair.
But every time you saw her, that's all you thought about. Like, oh, this poor little girl, she died. So it
She's
kind of kills
great.
the syndicate. I mean, I know that's a minor compared to a woman dying, but I mean
Uh,
that happens. Those shows don't do well in syndication.
it's sad. It seems like it was sad too. The girl on the Brady Bunch who played Marcia, the
She
pretty
had
one.
some booze and drug problems. Yeah. But it
It's a
didn't hurt the syndication for that because that thing's still running.
Yeah, they everyone
Well,
loved
she overcame it, so she's okay. And she
yeah,
was an adult by then, so.
adult and Jan grew up to be really pretty. Jan was the sister.
The
Her
middle
kid,
sister, yep, right.
she
Yep.
grew up to be very pretty. Cindy was pretty, but really Jan became very
Jan,
pretty.
I think, was more like she wanted to be taken as a serious actress. Remember, she
Yeah,
didn't do any of those reunion shows for a while, or when they'd show up. She did. I think she might have done one later on, but she didn't want to
yeah.
be doing
They had
that.
like the brides, the
Yeah,
Brady
she might have done that one. She didn't do that crummy variety show that they did. That was brutal. Remember
uh,
that? Where they were like, it was a variety show and they were singing and dancing. It was really bad.
yeah, why did they do those? Because that was just so weird.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Then they did the hour-long one, like it was like a
uh,
drama. Bobby like gets paralyzed in a
I
car
don't
accident. He's a
that.
car
Yeah.
racer. Oh, it's sad.
Was Alice on that one too? Oh my
I don't know
God.
if Alice was on that. She might have showed up, but
Liked her.
became like a drama. So yeah.
See that ruin it was supposed to be a light, you know,
It's just a kid show. That's all it's supposed to be.
and I don't like when you know what I like? The Partridge Family, they didn't do that
Partridge
nearly.
Family, that was it. When it went off the air, they never tried to bring it back, which was good.
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
Oh,
Oh
bless you.
gosh, thank you. Thank you. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
we'll do a separate video on the Partridge Family. But yeah, that was one show
that
that
was
stayed in its time and they never tried to bring it back, which was good.
no, and you know what? I
Yeah,
shouldn't
I
say
mean, as far as reunions go, they never did that. No.
they never did that, I'm not trying to be rude to the Brady Bunch but the singing on the Partridge Family
Oh,
was much
well,
better.
Partridge Family, yeah,
They had
Shirley
good.
Jones could sing and David Cassidy could sing.
It was good. The album.
And the musicians weren't the kids. I mean, they had other
No,
professional musicians, but they could both sing. Yeah, so it was good.
it was so weird. I grew up with people like in high school. They still had the Partridge Family albums.
I got the first one. I think every kid that watched that show originally got the first album. It was like they were like top
I
40
There
recording
was one
stars.
song. I know David. The one
I think I Love You was the first
I
big
love
thing.
that song.
Yeah, that
That
was the
was actually a really good.
It was good. I'm not a big rock and roll fan, but the music on that show was good. It was like pop. It was
It
good.
was like pop, and they really now David Cassidy. Now, could he do keyboards or anything,
Played
or
the guitar. I don't know if he played keyboards too, but
but he could sing. Yeah, is
he had a sad life. Oh, we'll save that for the video. But
yeah. Shirley Jones, a great singer.
he's still around. Let's turn 90, I think.
Oh my God,
I think she's still
I saw the amazing. I saw an old clip, a film clip of Shirley Jones when the Partridge. She was so pretty.
Oh yeah, she was one of
She
the
was
hot
real,
TV
very
moms.
pretty lady. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know they said with Mrs.
She was
Brady,
what? I guess maybe mid-30s then. Yeah,
she's very pretty.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know
Shirley
who was
Jones.
supposed to get that show originally was actually Florence Henderson was up for that.
Oh
I
wow.
heard an interview later on. She was who
Oh,
wound up getting the Brady Bunch.
okay. And
But
then
I think Florence Henderson was going to do that show. Yeah.
wow. I'm
Yeah.
I'm glad that because I think Shirley Jones
Even
would
though
be
I think Brady Bunch came on earlier, I think she was she wasn't the first choice for Brady Bunch. There was some other actress that was already hired for Brady Bunch, and then
oh
they
wow.
got rid of her, and then he brought in Florence Henderson at the last minute. But I think Florence Henderson might have been up for the Partridge Family.
Part
They
now
were thinking about it.
could
This is
she
the
sing?
story I heard. Yeah.
Oh wow. Could Florence Henderson
They both
sing?
could sing. Yeah, they're both singers. So.
Gosh,
I
so
might be wrong. Anybody out there correct me, but I thought I heard that
yeah,
in an she said there was at one time a chance that Florence Henderson would have been in the Partridge Family. But
wow. And they're both really pretty. So
oh
yeah,
yeah.
either one.
Well,
Wow.
Florence Henderson was like on the variety shows, Dean Martin and Ed Sullivan and Tonight Show, back going to the late 50s. You know, she'd been
Oh,
around. And Shirley Jones was like in movies, remember? She did
oh, I,
Music Man and Oklahoma and
oh,
Carousel, and
oh my God.
they
Yeah,
were
my
both well known, you know.
oh my gosh, my dad and she was on Broadway too. Shirley
I
Jones.
don't know if she ever did Broadway. I guess she might have, yeah. Florence Henderson, I think, did, you know, yeah.
Uh, Shirley Jones. She was a good singer. I
Kind of more
liked.
operatic style, yeah.
Yeah,
Florence
she
Henderson was a little more pop style, but they're
and
both good singers, yeah.
wow, and the guy that she married was it Jack
Jack
Cassidy?
Cassidy, yeah, yeah.
They said he was
You
a
see him on, he pop up on TV all the time. You'd see him on game shows and drama shows.
was he a singer
He could
too?
sing. He did Broadway. Yeah,
Okay,
he's
Jack
good.
Cat.
He had kind of that kind of a smug, you know, his character was kind of, you know,
He was
like
always like
egotistical but funny. He always
yeah,
played that kind of guy. Yeah, he was
yeah.
good. Yeah.
David. So he
Yeah, he
was
died young. That was sad. Yeah, died in a apartment caught on fire. He fell asleep with a cigarette and was burned
oh
from that. It
God.
was sad.
It's weird. I've heard. I think that even happened in our neighborhood. There was
Yeah,
that when I
that would have happened more frequently because I guess places weren't as flammable, you know, flame-proof, flammable, inflammable, whatever, flame-proof. So you fall asleep with a cigarette, and your bed catches fire, and boom.
gosh. Yeah, the weirdest thing, the neighborhood, Barkley Farms, where I grew up in Cherry Hill, they were building a house or rebuilt because the houses where I lived were built in the 60s when I
Yeah.
was, and they put a water heat at the house blew up,
Oh, really?
blew up. Yeah.
Yeah, that would
And
happen. Oh, yeah, water heaters would blow up. Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that was, yeah, it was weird. That was in the
That never
1970s.
happened in Family Affair.
Yeah, I was luckily nobody was living there, so they were building it, but
Yeah.
yeah,
You
the
see about that.
house,
It used to happen more frequently, and now they're better built. But
it's
but
amazing.
anyway, that's kind of our
Yeah.
thoughts on Brian family. Brian Keith, he was a guy that you see pop up movies and TV. I think he had another series after that. He played like a doctor in Hawaii. I never saw it, but I
Yeah,
read about it.
that
And then
would
he
be.
would show up like Hardcastle and McCormick. I think he was like a tough guy on that. It was like an adventure show.
I
He,
remember that one,
he'd pop up
Hardcastle.
on different TV shows, but he was like a movie guy too, kind of like Ernest Borgnine. He'd pop up in movies and TV, you know.
Okay, yeah, because I remember when he was on, I always thought him as the, I don't know how tall he was. He seemed like he
Seemed like
was,
a big guy. Yeah,
yeah, he seemed fairly big on
yeah.
a blonde guy. I
He
remember, but
played a good tough guy. I think he played a lot of westerns, you
what?
know,
Yeah, he
movies.
looked like a guy
But
that,
he'd show up later on, and then I think he lived into his 70s. I think he was a smoker, so I think he. Yeah. But he was a
yeah.
good actor. He was a likable guy, you know.
Did he
Yeah.
ever work with John Wayne?
I think he might have done some John Wayne movies. Yeah, he's a Western kind of guy. His father, I think, was an actor too. I read. So, yeah.
It's really,
But
yeah,
he's a
because
good actor. And then Sissy, I think, went on to do a few things. Jody, a few things, but not much as an adult. So,
I
yeah.
wonder
And
about
And
Mr.
Mr. French died kind of young. He died not long after the show went off the air.
Oh, wow.
He got ill, and I think he was only in his 50s, maybe. Yeah.
Oh my God. Was he an actor, like a character
Yeah,
actor? Or,
he pop up on game shows. You see him on game shows and
oh,
guest shots once in a while. Yeah,
yeah, I'm trying to think.
commercial. Yeah, I think he
Yeah,
kind of got typecast as that butler, though. Every
yeah.
time you saw him, everybody said, "Oh, that's Mr. French." I
What was he from England? Was
think
he
he was
from?
British. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, wow.
I don't know why they called him Mr. French because he was a British butler. What do you know that? What
Yeah,
that was all about? Is that his
I would.
name, Mr. French?
Yeah, it was so weird. I think we should have called him Mr. Evington or something,
Or
or
wasn't his name Mr.
Clive or something. Yeah, more English sounding. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
no.
it Mr. French.
Anybody
Yeah,
out there know the backstory why he was called Mr. French?
That
Let us
would
know.
be interesting because
He was
yeah,
British.
he was a British guy. I know, and
Yeah. I didn't
I remember,
watch the show that closely to find out the backstory, so I don't think you did either. So let
yeah,
me some
from
help.
what I remember, like he had dark hair.
Dark hair, the mustache, the beard. Yeah. A
Yeah, kind of a heavy
little
guy.
heavy set guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and the butler. And he always had the dark suit on with like a
Always seemed
bowl.
to have the dark suit and the apron when he was cooking dinner, you know.
Yeah, and it was so. I didn't see any females like servers. It was like just
Yeah, there
Mr.
were some neighbors, I think, that came by, different neighbors, maybe woman neighbors that checked in, I think. But and
Yeah,
then any
it's
woman that Mr. Bill, Uncle Bill was trying to, go out with.
yeah, and the kids would go, oh, and they would say, I don't like
I think
her.
sometimes like the kids didn't like certain women and they wanted to like interrupt and make it, so she'd go away. Yeah.
Yeah, they would do
They
that.
wanted they wanted a mom, I guess, but they didn't want some of the women that he brought home.
Yeah,
He never
really.
wound up getting married, right? At the end, they didn't have that last episode, did they, where he got married?
I think that he does get married, and he actually
Does,
starts loving them like his kids.
so he gets married and they have a mom at the end? I forgot what happened. I never saw.
That I don't know if he adopted them or
Yeah. So they
what.
did. Okay. We'll have to look that up. Maybe
Yeah,
somebody can tell us.
but
Because
you're
I'm not gonna watch all 4 years to find out
no.
again.
Oh my God, I'm
But
so
anybody out there, if you're interested, never heard of the show, it's probably on Tubi or
happy
Freevee,
or
one of
family
those.
affair.
But
Yeah,
yeah, even though it wasn't the
it was a
most
good.
complicated show, I'll still give it a thumbs up for childhood TV. How about you?
Definitely. I used to look forward to it. I liked it because it was, well, see, I used to watch the Beverly Hillbillies
Oh yeah,
too.
we'll have to do one on that, right? Yeah.
And I liked, for some reason, I
That show
liked,
was like number one, a top 10 for like 10 years on TV. Unbelievable, that show. Yeah.
and
They
there's
couldn't
some,
kill it until they
there,
just took it off. Yeah. It was still like top 10 when they took it off.
was it in the 1970s that was still
Yeah, it was
going?
like 61 to like 71, something like that, 72.
Wow.
Yeah, like
That was,
11, 10, 11 years. Yeah. Long
yeah.
time.
And you know what the weirdest thing is? You know the actress who played Granny on
Yeah.
the, I saw a
Irene Ryan. Yeah.
picture. She had been really
Oh,
pretty.
yeah. You posted that on your Facebook.
Oh my gosh, she was a really
If that
nice.
was her, she looked really good. I don't know if that was her or not. You think that was her?
Oh my God, I'm gonna check that. That's
Yeah.
her. She's a very pretty lady.
Yeah. Yeah. She
That's
wasn't as old as she played as Granny, I think, at the time. She was like in her maybe early 50s then.
she did that
She wasn't
voice.
like 80 when she was playing
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
the terrible like. "Ah, right,"
The
it was
voice and the makeup
terrible.
made her look like she was supposed to be like 85 or something,
Yeah, the
Granny.
voice was terrible
She was
too.
Jeb.
And
Was she Jeb's mother? I think she was, right?
I'm trying
Jed's
to think,
mother. Yeah.
Granny, because now did Buddy Ebsen? He called her.
He
I
called her
was
Granny, but wasn't that his mother?
That was his mother.
Yeah, he called her. They call her Granny, and then
Was Lily
Ellie
Mae?
Mae was his daughter, and Jethro was
Who
a
was he?
nephew.
A nephew.
Nephew, yeah, because he
Okay,
called
Jeff.
him Uncle Jed. Yeah.
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 So he was a nephew.
But Granny,
Maybe,
I believe, was Jed's mother, right? Hmm.
and that was Lily, because I think Lily Mae's grandmother. She was Lily Mae's
Yes,
grandmother.
yeah, right. But they called
Yeah.
her Granny. So
Because
she was
I know
supposed to be
Buddy
like
Ebsen was,
85, because Jed was like in his 50s.
and I wonder what happened to the mom.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever had the backstory.
She died, or
Uh,
I don't
well,
know.
we'll save that for that video.
Yeah.
I
And were they living in Tennessee?
think it was Tennessee, according to the theme song. Yeah.
Yeah, and they
And he went
struck.
out hunting for food and he shot and the oil
Yeah.
comes up. And that's how
Wow.
they found the oil.
Yeah. And they moved to Beverly. They were millionaires.
Beverly Hills. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
But that's
hilarious.
another video for another day.
Yeah, that was a good show. I love the ones in color with the Beverly Hillbillies. I know they had the black and
It's
white
black and
one.
white till mid 60s and then color, right? Yeah.
Color. Gosh,
But anyway, thumbs up. Family Affair. If you've ever heard of it, check it out. If you have heard of it, let us know what you think. And that'll do it for this edition. Thanks for watching, everybody.
you.
See you again.
See you again.